If only Bandai have learned from Tamashii Nations and engineered the high grade this way, because it's lamentable how much they could have done to the high grade when looking at this thing. Merry Christmas everybody, MG2005 Gundam here, and today I am going to be unboxing and reviewing the Robot Damashii Extreme Gundam Type Leo's Xenon phase from Gundam EXA. I hope you guys are having a happy holiday season despite the circumstances now. But anyways, let's get into the review. So, my friend sent me the package. It came in right on Christmas Eve, which is perfect timing. Unintentional, by the way. But anyways, this thing, my regrets have finally been alleviated. This is my first Robot Damashii, and I have to say that it is pretty good looking from the looks of this. Like, you do have some action poses. You can actually make the normal mode of the Extreme Gundam, although you don't get the weapons that the normal mode is supposed to have. For example, like the shield and the beam pistol. The shield is included in the expansion set, which may have gone extinct by now. If not, they are selling it for an exorbitant amount of money. But the pistol is nowhere to be seen, but I'm not going to be complaining because you do get some true beam sabers in this swing. And of course, you do have some photos over here displaying it in the middle evolution and the extreme evolution mode. So you do get some parts that can switch to the extreme evolution mode. And let's just take a look right in the box contents, because yep, this thing does come with a lot. Now obviously I played around with it before, so everything is just loose in here. But let's get this guy out of the package and into the normal mode, and I'll be right back. So here is the Extreme Gundam Type Leos in the default form on the turntable, and this is definitively the best interpretation of the Extreme Gundam ever. The proportions are spot on, apart from the face, because I feel like that's a little bit dodgy, and the painted details do make this thing look pretty nice. Now I'm really a bit sad that they didn't really paint in the black trim around the eyes, but I'm glad that they did paint in the metallic blue for the eyes. Now the face mask does look pretty good, the metallic silver details on the ears do look pretty good, but there's one thing that is a little bit peculiar to me, is that despite the rear face having no way of being able to be shown, they have still painted the eyes in there. And even though it's not supposed to, it does come with a red chin. So I don't know if anybody who owns this figure actually tried to remove the rear V fin and shift it around so that you can create the Mystic face head. I don't know. It looks as though the rear face is just as detailed as the front one, so it's pretty good attention to detail, but I don't know if it's necessary. Structural integrity, as you may expect from a Robot Damashii, nothing really just tends to fall off, but don't push the articulation too bad, because I have had the side skirts fall off, I've had the front skirts fall off, so don't push the articulation too far. But overall, this thing is really sturdy, and this thing is a very good looker on your shelf. However, there's this one thing that I was curious about, so let's just turn off all the lights here. This thing does not work with the black light. Not from what I see. It is not as reactive as some of the other clear pieces that I've seen, for example on the Real Grey Unicorn Gundams. This thing does work a little bit, but it's not as strong, so yeah, don't expect this thing to shine if you have a black light on it. So overall, this thing does look very good. And I must say this again, this is the best, by far, interpretation of the Extreme Gundam. Articulation wise, this thing is no slouch either. The head, you do have a ball joint so you can rotate about, bob about, and you do have a neck joint so you can do the funky chicken, which is pretty nice, but beware of the rear V-fins colliding with the collar. The arms over here, they can shrug, they can go forwards and back, they can rotate. The shoulder armor is independent, so it can shift up and down. The arms can go perpendicular to the body, so all in all, you can call the teacher by raising your hand. Rotation above the elbow, bend at the elbow at 2 joints, which gives you this close 180, which is pretty nice. The wrists are on ball joints, and they're on wrist joints, but the ball joints, as per usual in Robot Damashii, goes into the hand. So yeah, that's something new for me to get accustomed to, but you do get a considerable amount of articulation in the wrists. Now the stomach and waist is a little bit confusing, so I'm gonna try to get through to that. So you do get a very good forward crunch from here. You do get a good side-to-side tilt. Rotation, not so much because of the armor hindering it, but you do get a lot of really good crunches, which is pretty good, especially when this form is the martial artist form. Now the front skirts are on ball joints to my surprise, side skirts are on ball joints, the back skirts can move, and then there are no unique mechanics in the legs, so all they can do is go forwards, go backwards, go outwards all the way. Like this is what Bandai should have done with the high grade. Rotation at the hip, although it's a little bit hindered, still you do get a rotation. And a double jointed knee that can bend all the way. Learn from Damashii Nations, Bandai. I know it's under Bandai, but yeah, you know what I mean. They're two different branches. And then the feet is on a joint at the top, a joint at the bottom. The ankle armor is actually jointed at the front instead of the side. No toe movement. And the backpack, because of the design, is just static. But overall, the articulation on this thing, yes, I pushed it too far that time. But anyways, articulation on the Extreme Gundam Robot Damashii is fantastic. Accessories. So the only accessory that this form uses are the beam sabers. But these things are a major letdown in the figure. But anyways, these things are not fake outs, they're actually true beam sabers that plug onto the backpack, and you do get some true beams. You can plug them on, just like so. And the Extreme Gundam does come with a custom set of hands similar to the ones that come in the TR1s to hold in the beam sabers. Now, these things are not the best in the world because from what I can tell, they seem to hold on tightly, but the moment you actually jerk it back to actually have them slash down, and you can afford to be a little bit rough with action figures when compared to model kits, it's just... It's the master of flinging beam sabers, if you know what I mean. But you can get, if you're displaying it with the beam saber, you can absolutely get it to hold it just like so. Looks very, very nice. Again, if only the high grade have true beam sabers. But the holding hands are not the only thing that this thing comes with, because it does come with a pair of grasping hands, which I've never seen in a Bandai product before. Tell me in the comments below if I'm wrong. And you do get a pair of kind of like god fingers. So these are for use with the Xenon pack. So let's get right to converting. So what you want to do to prep the Extreme Gundam is first of all remove the side pieces of the arms. Remove the crotch piece, which is relatively easy to my surprise. Remove the thrusters on the back, just like so. And then you remove the kneecaps and the side pieces of the legs. This is the Extreme Gundam prepped. Now let's start with the legs. First of all, you bring in these pieces and you just basically feed the leg right into the armor extensions, sandwich the leg in there, and then you bring in the kneecaps right here. Plug them on as you would the normal ones. Same thing goes for the other side, so I'm not going to do them on camera. Next up, you bring in the new crotch piece and you just plug it on, like so. And then you bring in the fire bunkers that are supposed to go onto the arms. They're on the double peg, so you plug onto the double holes on the arms, just like so. And then finally, the backpack. You switched out the normal thrusters for this humongous pack. It looks a little bit off at first, but I grew to like it. But anyways, you just plug it onto the backpack like so. Do the same for the other arms and legs, and I'll be right back. And here we have the Extreme Gundam Xenon phase on the turntable. And I am astounded by how good it looks. Like initially, when I first knew about this thing, I wasn't a big fan of it because only the arms and the legs have changes, the shoulders remain the same, which to me looked a little bit off, and I'm not really too big of a fan of this gigantic pack that is hanging from the original backpack. But over the years, the design and the fight style has grew on me a lot. This thing is a hand-to-hand combat type with the shining bunker, and oh my god, I just love the design. The Isles phase, of course, is a close second because of the wings, but this thing, nothing can really top it among the Extreme Gundam variants, not even the ones that X uses. I really love the design, and I'm glad that this thing is one of the only more accessible Robot Damashii forms that can be bought nowadays. Now, in the looks department, they really did good job on the part separation, because the joints on the individual fingers on the bunkers over here, they are color separated, and even the joints over here, they implemented clear pieces on even the smallest of trims. They would have used stickers if this were a high grade. And of course on the legs you do have some color detail on the outer armor, which does look pretty nice, color separating it. The thrusters over here are in a very nice fine flake gunmetal finish, which is really good, although you would rarely be seeing it from the back. I'm glad that Damashii Nations actually put in the detail into coloring the thrusters in a gunmetal finish. They also did use clear pieces all over the place, so that tops it up, but they are of the same properties as the clear pieces in the main body. They're not really too UV reactant, so this thing is not really gonna glow like fire in the battlefield. But anyways, this thing just looks pretty good. So let me get the turntable out of the way and I'll show you guys the gimmicks, because there are no accessories that are associated with this thing. I'm kind of fussed that this thing doesn't come with the beam whip or the Tachyon slasher, but I get to punch people all day with the Extreme Gundam Xenon face, so who am I to judge? So what you can do is nothing in this form, so I'm gonna give it one of the grasping hands and transform this thing into the Extreme Evolution mode. So let's start off, if I can put the hand in there. This is one of the issues with the Extreme Gundam, like the wrist joint just tends to go when you are placing the hand in there, so it's a little bit tough, but by hook or by crook you would actually get the hand in. So let's start off with the fire bunkers on the arms. So what you want to do is to flip these pieces down and then open the bottom pieces up before angling them downwards, and then you fully extend the top piece over here. You extended it at the middle, you extend it at the so-called thumb, raise it up, and you extend it from the back. That's pretty much it. And then for the legs over here, you open this piece up, take this thing out. I am semi-glad that I actually did this, because if this were a movable part, yet the double X will happen. I had to actually tack them in to let them stick in the open form. But with separate pieces, nothing of that caliber would happen. So that's the legs opened up, and rotating towards the back, you push the thruster down before opening it up, and the instruction manual tells you to just leave them in this state, but they are a little bit floppy without them being locked. So what I like to do is to push them right back up, and they will semi-lock into place. Finally, to the backpack, you open the backpack up, kind of similar to the Unicorn Gundam, and then you flip this top piece down to reveal more thrusters. I'll do the same on the other side, and I'll be right back. And here we have the Extreme Gundam Xenon face evolved to the extreme. I am glad that I implemented everything to convert this thing into the Extreme Evolution mode. This thing just looks astounding in this mode. Sometimes I do prefer the second form to the third form, which is this one, but you cannot deny that with all of the flaps open, this thing just looks imposing no matter what. But then, articulation in the legs is a little bit hampered. Now, it doesn't really hamper it too much in the open form, but in the closed form, you are only going to be able to get just a slight bit more than a 90 if you have pushed the thruster down. So, articulation, yeah, this thing does have the articulation limited due to the armor, but I don't really mind. The last thing that this figure includes is a stand adapter, which plugs onto the crotch on the grooves in the screws. So you just slot that in, and then you suddenly have an action-based hull. So if you want to display this in aerial, and this thing does sort of work with the cheap stands that the recent high grades comes with, you can actually, well, this thing is an issue. This is an issue. I haven't positioned that pretty well. You can actually have it displayed in the air, which is a very nice option. And this stand adapter does not fall off at all, not until you pull it out. So that is definitely a very good inclusion. So for comparisons, obviously I will have to bring in the 10th anniversary Extreme Gundam Eclipse face. They are roughly the same size, so I can easily pass this off as a 1:144 scale interpretation of the Extreme Gundam Xenon phase. Next up, let's bring in the original Gundam over here. It is a little bit, just a tad shorter than the Extreme for what I'm seeing here. So that's gonna wrap it up for the Robot Damashii Extreme Gundam Xenon phase review. Now, even though it doesn't come with any of the weapons that the Xenon phase actually uses, like the Tachyon Slicer and the Beam Whip, and the fact that the Beam Sabers are a little bit volatile in their specified holding hands, I'm still really glad that I got this figure, because not only do both forms look good due to the really accurate proportions, it has great articulation and really amazing part separation. So overall, I am gonna give this thing an 8.5 out of 10, not quite a 9 because the price of this thing. But if you do decide to fork over the exorbitant amount of money to get one of these things from a secondhand source, most likely, then I assure you, you are going to enjoy yourselves with the Xenon phase, especially if you are like me, who enjoys melee combat the most. But don't ask me whether or not I'm going to be reviewing the upgrade pack, because I don't even know if anybody offers it at a reasonable price anymore, because it's more expensive than the entire figure itself. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more Gunpla reviews, Gunpla news, or in this case more Robot Damashii reviews if they do somehow manage to find their way into my hands, and other kind of videos as well. Subscribe to the feature channels on my channel page if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.